We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
David. This comes from Facebook. David. So first, he has an update. A little while back, David was looking for a not too expensive 70-inch 4K HDR display. We pointed him towards the 2016 Vizio E-Series, but he got to look at them side by side with the new 2017 E-Series. And while the E-Series lacks Dolby Vision, he couldn't see enough of a picture quality difference to justify the $600 difference in price. So he bought the E-Series, the Vizio E70/E3. I don't know what the E3 means. Anyways, and the money he saved can go towards his second subwoofer and a door, which is one of the things I think we recommended for him.
Yes, and we are very, very fine with that choice. Because if that saved money lets you get a door for one and then a good way towards a second sub, I think that's a very good choice. So,
you know,
congrats.
So many times I've got like people like, oh, I can't tell the difference, so what should I do? Buy whatever one you want. I don't care. You ask me which one's better. That one's better. That's the good one. This other one's fine. This one's good. Better. It's just better. Just by specs alone. You can't see the difference? Then get the one that's fine. So great. Congratulations. Vizio does not include a built-in TV tuner. So he asks, what is a good add-on TV tuner, and what would the tuner plug into the Vizio? Or would it plug into the Vizio? Or would it plug into his Marantz? Or how does this thing work? So, there are TV tuners out there. If you have an Xbox, is it just the Xbox One, or does it work with Xbox 360? It's just Xbox One, right?
They've killed that, haven't they? More or less. I mean, they're not
Does
doing
it not
the DVR.
work anymore? I haven't used it in forever. But
I don't know
watched
if
the
it's
Super Bowl.
still working, but the DVR certainly is never coming. They promised it would, but then it's dead.
No, it's not going to come.
Yeah, Xbox One, it's from Hauppauge, an add-on TV tuner.
I use that.
Xbox One.
At least I did. I haven't used it in forever.
It's a single tuner thing. There is also Channel Master out there who makes standalone add-on tuners as well as a standalone add-on DVR. So those.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I'm going to be really, really honest with you here, dude. I did all sorts of research into this before I got this Hauppauge thing, and I got this because it was like $20.
Right.
I mean, it was like so cheap, and the Channel Master, especially with the DVR, is going to run you like hundreds of dollars, and the guide kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's like, if you do the research, people are all like, yeah, it's great, except you have to do this and this, and every once in a while the remote has to be completely reprogrammed and this and that and that. I don't remember what all the problems were. There was enough things that I was like, I didn't want to deal with it. So if it were me, I would consider spending the extra money for a TiVo, and I believe that TiVo, with whatever tuner, with
Roamio OTA, OTA standing for over the air.
That's pretty much what I would do. And it's more expensive, and there's a subscription or whatever, but I think that in the end you're going to be happier with it, and you're going to use it.
Yeah, it works really well. The guide data is really good. It also has all the streaming services integrated into it seamlessly. So all three of those, whether it's an Xbox, a Channel Master, or a TiVo, those are external boxes that act like any other external source. You would plug those into your Marantz AV receiver and then let your Marantz pass it along to the TV, because they're just external boxes. But there are a couple of other solutions that are worth looking into, and actually the one I would probably recommend to most people, if you have the rest of your home sort of set up to support it, is the HDHomeRun from Silicon Dust, which is a network tuner. So that is actually a little device, so your TV antenna, your over-the-air antenna, plugs into this HDHomeRun, and the HDHomeRun connects to your Wi-Fi router. Either wired or wirelessly, but it connects to your Wi-Fi router. Now you get the HDHomeRun app on any smart TV, any tablet, phone, computer, and now you can watch live TV. It's a dual tuner system. Watch live TV on anything that can run the app. Now, interestingly, one of the things that can run the app is a Chromecast, and the Vizio has Chromecast built in.
There you go.
So as long as you have some way of casting it to the Vizio, i.e. a smartphone or a tablet or something like that, you already have the Chromecast built into the Vizio, so you could use the network tuner. You can also turn it into a DVR as long as you connect some kind of storage to it. So whether that's connecting a USB hard drive, running the HDHomeRun PVR or DVR software on your computer, or connecting it to a network attached storage. So as
like
long as you add storage,
$135, dude.
yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So that's the one I like, as long as you have a Wi-Fi, network that can support it. And then another one that's kind of similar is the Tablo. So Tablo TV is also a network tuner setup, but it has the storage already built in. You don't, well, it's like its own DVR. You have to add a USB hard drive, but it's already set up to be a DVR. But they, similar to TiVo, need a subscription for their guide data and that. So yeah, I like the HDHomeRun the best, honestly. If you can make it work.
I mean, if you've got some devices in your house, just like the Xbox One, there is a chance that there is a device out there that you can connect to it that will stream. You will have to buy an antenna. And if you're going to buy an antenna, you should get the Leaf ones, right?
Yes, yeah, Mohu
Leaf. There's the Ultimate one. I think
Yeah, the Sky is the greatest one, but it's fairly expensive. But it has a range, a really long range. If the Sky antenna from Mohu can't pull in the channel, then basically nothing can. So
yeah,
that's kind of the big.
I've got the
there.
one down from that. I bought it at Sam's, and it works pretty well. Yeah. And it's just in the window of my house. I'm like, just put it in the window behind my computer.
If you're running Plex, the HDHomeRun tuners also work with Plex, and Plex can now use live TV. So there's all sorts of ways. It's more complicated setup, of course, but there's all sorts of ways to integrate that HDHomeRun network tuner into your system if you want to. Right. So it's pretty cool.
So he says he's going to have dual subwoofers. So while he can run a physical wire to one of them, it would be a lot more convenient for the second sub to be wireless. Can this connection method work, one wired to one wireless? And are the wireless subwoofer kits still unreliable and terrible? Now, I will say the subwoofer wireless kits have not been unreliable and terrible for quite some time. So that's a little bit. There are some unreliable.
There are still some out there that are unreliable and terrible. Yes,
but we have been recommending the one from Outlaw for a real long time, and that one's got great reviews. So that's the something.
OAW4 is the current version. I really like that one because it's $120, so that's why some people are like, oh, there's $60 ones out there. I'm like, yeah, but the $60 ones cut out and give you distortion, so it's kind of worth the extra money, and it's not such a high price that you're like sticker shock by it, at least in my opinion. So yeah, the Outlaw one I really like. Audio Engine also has a nice one, the W3, but it's a little bit more expensive at present. So that's all.
You should know. I mean, basically, if you have two outputs, like independent outputs on your receiver, which I think the 5011 has, right? Doesn't it have?
It's two outputs, but they're not independent. It's just it's a splitter. It's an internal splitter. So what you would want to do is set the phase on the wireless subwoofer to 0 degrees. Then do all the messing about with phase on the wired subwoofer. Once you have,
he's not going to have them located in the same.
Well, even if you did, you'd still kind of need to, because you're only going to get to set one distance and one channel level.
Right.
Coming out of the AV receiver. So since the wireless one is the one that's going to have some latency, that's the one you leave at 0 degrees. You trial and error adjust the phase of the wired subwoofer until you get nice uniform bass. Then you run Odyssey, and it will set the distance. And now the distance might come up as something much physically farther away than the subwoofer actually is, but that's because it's accounting for the latency of the wireless connection.
Yeah, it's just so we understand, because back up, because I know what Rob's talking about here, but so you've got one connection which is going very quickly, which is the wired connection. And the wireless connection has to be obviously sent wireless, which involves it being changed and then transmitted and then changed back and then sent to the subwoofer. So there is some latency there. There is some delay. The problem is that if you had two independent subwoofer outputs on your receiver would see that as that subwoofer being much farther away.
Yeah, like in the case of the Outlaw, it's about 10 milliseconds of latency in the wireless connection, which equates to about 10 feet of extra distance. So if your sub were physically 10 feet away from you, something like Odyssey might set it at 20 feet because it says, hey, there's this extra 10 feet of delay, 10 milliseconds of delay. So that's why the reading might come up like that.
And then what Rob is saying is by manually playing with the phase on the wired one, what you're doing is making the delay of that subwoofer try to match the other one. The problem is unless you have all the measurement equipment, it's very hard to know what the absolute best setting is. So you're going to have to do a little bit of trial and error.
Yeah, it's trial and error, listening to bass sweeps on repeat in all of the seats that you care about, and what you're hoping to find is uniform bass from seat to seat. Once you've got that, let Odyssey do its thing, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Lastly, he asks, is the Xbox One S the best deal for an Ultra HD Blu-ray player? It can do a lot more than a standalone player, but it doesn't cost a lot more.
True.
But strictly as an Ultra HD Blu-ray player, is there any reason to avoid it? Well, if you look at the reviews, any review that came like early on will tell you that it's hot garbage because it doesn't put bitstream out audio. You can't get Atmos or high-end or high definition audio or any of that stuff. It does that now.
That's right.
So the stuff I read basically indicated to me that the picture is fine.
Mm-hmm. For the most part, yeah.
For the most part. I think I would classify it based on what I've read as a decent player.
Yeah.
I would not classify it as a top end player, and obviously it doesn't do Dolby Vision or any of that stuff yet.
No, it can do HDR10, so that's the same as most Ultra HD Blu-ray players, to be honest.
But we've got the Oppo out now, which can do everything under the sun and is an excellent player.
But it's also more expensive, and it doesn't do any streaming at all, and it certainly doesn't play games. So
that's right.
There's a point here. Yeah, the Xbox One S, it has some bugs with some playback. In particular, if you're using a non-HDR display, it does a really bad job of converting the HDR to SDR. That's something that it does not do very well at all. So that's a problem, but that's not his case. He has an E-Series Vizio, which does HDR, so that's not really a problem. There's the whole converting on the disc. The color is compressed. It's using what they call 420 chroma subsampling, so it's essentially compressed the color information a bit. That gets expanded back out, and apparently it doesn't do as good a job of that as like the Panasonic, and like the Panasonic does it the best, and then the Oppo does it the second best, and the Sony does it really well too. And the Xbox One S apparently doesn't do that so great, but in real life, like, you can barely see it. You have to put up test patterns that are specifically designed to show it. So overall, yeah, it's a decent player. Some people say the disk drive in the Xbox One S is a little bit noisier when it's playing Ultra HD Blu-rays, so it's not a completely silent player when it's playing, but it's like, it is a darn good value, and now that it does the bitstream audio, it's pretty feature complete. So yeah, it's like, do you need the absolute best, or would you be happier getting a box that does it all for a really good price? I'm like, yeah, it's really not a bad
Honestly,
choice.
I would, if I were you, I would be fine with getting that.
Yeah,
I would.
But do be prepared for it does have some bugs. People have had to reset it or turn bitstream audio off and then back on again, or turn HDR off and then back on again. Like, it messes up settings. It's a computer. It's a computer. So sometimes it messes
and don't
up.
come to us and say, oh, well, they're going to have Dolby Vision eventually because they promised that at this. Nothing that they say is true until it's real. Okay? Nothing that they say is true until it's real. That you just have to believe that, because that is what they do. They will not tell you that they'll say they have plans to do some stuff, and they very well do have those plans, but it doesn't matter until they actually do it.
But David's TV doesn't do Dolby Vision anyway, so wouldn't worry about that.
Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.